everybody, I am here with my Elle brush video. I've been meaning to do this for quite a while now, and I also haven't filmed in a couple of weeks. This is the first time I'm showing you guys my new haircut. I got my haircut yesterday. This is the beginning of April, so I'm not sure when this video is going up, but my long hair was starting to bother me and I was like, I need to change. So I asked for a long bob, and I feel like my hair is a little bit shorter than what I would like, but it's okay, my hair grows quickly. Kind of wanting everything to be about an inch or two longer, but whatever, it's still fine. I can't quite tie it up, so sometimes I tie it up and it falls out. So that's going to be a little bit problematic at the gym, I think, because there's a lot of moving around for me, so I wonder if I'm going to just be having to work out with my hair down. I don't know. Most of the brushes that I'm going to be talking about are from I believe their studio line. When I look at the Elle website, they no longer seem to split up their categories into like their 3 different lines, their mineral, their studio. I don't know what this one is called, like their professional line, the white brushes. But Elle recently sent me some of their new brushes. One of them being the Ultimate Kabuki, and then the Contour Brush, and the Ultimate Blending Brush. So I thought I would just do a video on Elle brushes in general. So Elle quality is hit or miss, so some of their brushes fall apart quite easily, I would say. For example, this Elle powder brush, I really did quite enjoy this brush for blending out foundation. However, the bristles do catch on to foundation and it's quite difficult to clean, and for me it shed a lot, and also the brush head fell off and I had to super glue it back. And then this one I was actually going to throw away just because it's shedding quite a bit every time I wash it now, but I did go ahead and pick up a backup of this. So even though the quality of this one over time started to fade, I thought it was worth it for the $1.50 that I paid, because it retails for $3, and then Elle oftentimes has like a 50% off twice a year, once in the summertime and once close to Black Friday, I believe. But you have to jump on it really quick because stuff goes out of stock very quickly as well. So this brush is going to be retired. You will see me say that quite often, where I threw away or I'm throwing away, retiring an Elle brush because the hairs are starting to fall out too much. I'll tell you whether or not I replaced it or not. The new Ultimate Blending Brush I feel like is a step above the Elle powder brush, which a lot of people use for blending out foundation for their face. The thing that I have to say about this Ultimate Kabuki brush is this one feels a lot more like a Real Techniques brush in the way the bristles feel, whereas the Elle powder brush feel more like a traditional synthetic brush. Still, both of them are very soft, but I feel like the quality of the Ultimate Blending Brush is definitely a step above the powder brush. This one has a nice dome shaped. They're about the same size, I would say. The powder brush is slightly larger. Actually, it's quite a bit larger when you put it against your face like this. So to blend out foundation, this one takes a little bit longer than this one, but I do enjoy the Ultimate Blending Brush a little bit more just because I feel like the quality of the hairs on this is better. Now, as far as how the hairs are cut, there are a couple of hairs on both brushes that stick out more than the rest. So if it really bothers you, I would probably cut them off. Both of them shed when I first washed them. The Elle powder brush, like I said, started to fall apart over time. This one hasn't shed on me too badly yet, but I've only had it for a month or so. The Ultimate Kabuki brush. This brush feels, the hairs on this brush feel very much like this powder brush. They're the same quality, I would say the same make of hair. This one sheds a little bit on me so far, but I find this brush quite difficult to use because it's such a large brush that I feel like, I guess I'm just confused. I'm not really sure what to use it for in terms of buffing out my face, because I don't personally buff out powder over my face, but maybe if I were to try Wayne Goss's technique that he's been talking about, buffing a clear powder over your face to finish your face off. I actually did try that and I don't think I did it properly. It just ended up moving all the product on my face and I felt like my contour was gone. But basically, this is a very nice soft brush, but I just don't reach for it that often. And here it is in size comparison to the Elle Kabuki face brush. This one is a really nice and soft brush. It is a smaller size and it's just like a more traditional Kabuki brush. So this one for me, I find easier to use just because, like I said, this one kind of confuses me because it just seems like such a huge, massive brush to use on your face. I mean, maybe it could be good for blotting powder on your face, but for me this one is not a must-have, even though it's a cool looking brush. One of my favorite brushes from Elle is the Elle Complexion Brush. I really like this one for setting my foundation. I use regular powder or translucent powder with this one, and I just sort of dab powder around my face to set it, but I think it's really nice also to flick off product if you want to. Blush brush. And for the longest time I was confused on how to use this brush, so I didn't really reach for it that often, but then I watched Tara Baby's brush video where she talks about this brush, and so since then I have been using this one more as a dabbing motion. I feel like when I when I tried to apply blush like this with the flicking motion, it turned out kind of patchy on me. So this one is for the less pigmented blushes that you want to pack on like this and not to blend with. It's more to place the blush and then maybe use a different brush to do the actual blending. The small tapered brush, I don't actually reach for this one that often. It has a nice point to it, but I find them quite stiff. So it still seems like a good quality brush, but I personally just haven't found that much use for it. I really like the shape of it. Perhaps I could use this for highlight as well, down the nose, something like that. I actually kind of forgot I had this brush until I decided to pull out most of my Elle brushes to do this video. But yeah, I just wanted to be honest with you that I don't reach for this brush that often, but I do, when I look at it, feel like it is an attractive looking brush and I should try to find a use for it. Flawless concealer brush, and this is the angled contour brush. I use these two brushes for the same thing. I really like these brushes. This domed concealer brush I feel like could be used for either cream products or powder products. I use them for both. For concealer around here, for around here, here, and then I also use it to set under eye area. And this one over here, the angled contour brush, I love this brush. I use this one to set underneath my eyes. Sometimes I use it to place highlighter right here underneath my brow bone because I feel like the angle on it sits very well underneath the brow area, and it works really nicely for these small areas around the eye as well. $1.50 if you catch these on a sale with Elle. Contour brush. Now this brush is such an interesting shape. I've been wanting a brush like this. In fact, I really want to try the Zoeva brush that's like this, and I still plan on trying that one soon. This brush is extremely, extremely dense. So I used it a few times, and the first time I used it, I thought to myself, okay, this brush is too dense. It puts too much product on your face and it's difficult to blend out. That was my first impression of it. But then as my makeup wore out throughout the day, I thought that my contour looked very nice at the end of the day. So I probably put too much product, but it also kept product on my face. I hope that makes sense. Very good for placing product on your face, but you might want to get another brush later to then blend it out. Otherwise you would have a harsh line here. This one is rather difficult to try to blend out product once you've placed it, just because of how dense it is. But it is a really fun brush to have. I would recommend picking it up. Small Stipple brushes. Now these brushes are my absolute favorite from the Elle line. These are my go-to products for placing liquid or cream blush, my bronzer, my cream bronzer, my Chanel Tan Universal, anything cream on my face. I love these. However, the bristles are starting to fall off, so I think I'm going to retire these ones soon, but I'm definitely going to repurchase. I have one backup which I'm going to open up, but as soon as they have their sale, I'm going to stock up on these. These have been well-loved brushes. I even use them to put my cream highlighter on. I think I've shown in that video. So they're very, very versatile brushes. So I'll use the same brush to put my bronzer, my blush, and my cream highlighter on my face. I absolutely, absolutely love this brush. It makes me sad that it's falling apart, but for me, I think I've had these brushes for at least 2 years, and for $1.50 a piece, I just find that totally worth it. and I haven't been able to find something that I love quite as much as these brushes. I do have other duo fiber brushes that I feel like are too large in size. I feel like the Elle Small Stipple Brush is the perfect size. I've never tried the regular stipple brush, but I have used the Small Stipple Brush for a long time. The closest that I found to it, but I still don't like quite as much, is the Target Up and Up brand. I think this one retails for either $5.99 or $6.99. It's a little bit less dense, and then it's also not as stiff. I really like how stiff the Small Stipple Brush is for placing product on my face, because I feel like it's more precise. I feel like it blends out product really well. I like the Target Up and Up one, but it's just not as, it doesn't perform as nicely as the Elle Small Stipple Brush. And then I also like the Real Techniques Duo Fiber Contour Brush. It's not quite the same shape, but it does perform quite nicely for the same 3 functions that I told you about. Though I do like those 2 other brushes that I just mentioned. Like I said, my favorite is just the Elle Small Stipple Brush. I am so repurchasing. I'm gonna buy like 10 of these probably the next time Elle has a sale. The Elle Blush Brush. This one is very dense, so I feel like you have to be really careful with this one. Don't use too pigmented of blush on this, or you're gonna end up looking like a clown. And it really reminds me a lot of the Paris Presents blush brush. This is from their high definition line. I really like this brush too. Like I said, you just have to be really careful with these two, because you could end up looking like a clown if you use very pigmented blush. That's the rundown of my current Elle black line face brushes. Now moving on to their eye brushes. So I'll talk about these 3 professional line brushes first. This is Smudge Brush. I'm going to be honest with you, this one's really scratchy and I don't use it that often, so I think I might actually retire this one, maybe move it to something that I use to clean up my nail polish, because I don't like putting scratchy brushes near my eye area. My eye area is very sensitive. This one right here is a lot softer. This one is the Eye Crease Brush and the Blending Eye Brush. I do really like these brushes, but the thing about these brushes, they only cost $1 on Elle, and if you can catch them on sale, 50 cents. I did repurchase these brushes on the Elle website, but the ones that I got were very bad quality. As soon as I opened them, all the brushes were cut different lengths, they were scratchy, and they started falling out. So I don't understand, because these are really old brushes and they've held up for years. I'm probably no longer going to repurchase the professional line, just because I feel like the quality of them varies too much, even though they're super cheap. But I personally have experienced mixed performance, mixed quality with the professional line, even though these 2 have stood the test of time, and I love these 2. As far as the other brushes from the professional line, I have the Eyeshadow Zbrush. This one is a little bit large for me. I do reach for it a lot, and this one I use a lot with my color tattoos. I like it. It's not a must-have brush. It's kind of good for your cream eye products. And then this is the new Eyebrow Duo Brush. I hauled this in the last video. Elle actually sent me this brush. This one comes with the eyebrow brush and then your angled brush. It's kind of like 2 brushes in one. I like it. Used it quite a bit. Their blending brush and their crease brush. I feel like if there are any eye brushes that you're going to get from Elle, these 2 are the absolute must-have. It's the crease brush and the blending brush. I'm also going to be picking up a bunch of these when Elle has a sale. I feel like this blending brush is the perfect brush for placing, I know it says blending brush, I feel like it's the perfect brush for packing eyeshadow onto your lid. And then this one right here that says crease brush is the perfect blending brush for your crease, like right here. I just love these 2 brushes. The blending brush from Elle reminds me so much of the Coastal Scents BR-C-S06. I also love this brush, but if you look at them, they're about the same size. The bristles are not too thick. The hairs won't flick back onto you and then give you a ton of fallout. That's what I like about these brushes as compared to the Zbrush. I feel like this one has much stiffer bristles on it. The crease brush, a lot of other brands make brushes like this. Here's the Elle one that I hauled not that long ago. Again, everybody needs this type of brush in their collection. Here's also another one if you want to compare it to the Real Techniques Duo Fiber blending brush, or eye brush, sorry. Really quick, if I want to run down on what I would pick up in my next e.l.f. sale, definitely pick up the Crease Brush, the blending brush. I would definitely pick up the Complexion Brush, the Small Stipple Brush, even though you may have to repurchase this one after a couple years, the Ultimate Blending Brush, the Angled Contour Brush, the Flawless Concealer Brush, the Blush Brush, the Kabuki Face Brush. So one more brush. This one I'll throw in for fun just because it's a different shaped brush. This is the Contouring Brush. So these are my top 10 e.l.f. brushes, recommendations. These are the ones that I would pick up again next time e.l.f. has a sale. Thank you guys for watching and see you next time. Bye!